Tonight, Christina Carswell hosts an all-new episode of The Lounge. The following program may contain mature material some viewers may not find suitable. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's The Lounge with Christina Carswell. Tonight, Christina welcomes Alex, also known as Axel, from the channel Swathed, Sarah from the channel Lyra Kylerin, and Sean, a professional QA video game tester. And now, here's your host, Christina Carswell.
Welcome to the Lounge on TOONDISE. I'm your host, Christina Carswell. So, I'm frustrated with my house right now. I'm gonna take a moment to talk about adult problems because I have fucking ants and mice in my house, and it's driving me literally up the wall. I'm so done.
Can I just offer one piece of advice?
Yes.
Oh!
It's gonna be a personal episode, a special episode of The Lounge, where we dive deep into all our fucked up problems.
I know the issue that you've had, understand the whole thing with mice. We've pretty much all throughout the fall and winter, we've been dealing with mice invading.
How many have you caught so far?
20?
Oh wow, okay. I'm only up to 6.
Somewhere in the realm of 15 to 20, yeah.
Wow, that's a... You have an infestation.
That problem.
You have a colony starting.
Yeah, well, we haven't dealt with any in a few months, thankfully, now that the winter is come to an end.
Yeah.
But it was so bad. There's we had traps pretty much every week. We had to lay out a new trap because we'd catch one and then
mine was every other day for a while.
Yeah.
You don't toss a trap away. You just clean that shit, put more peanut butter on it, and slip it back in.
The traps you're using were those sticky pad ones.
Oh, those ones suck.
Yeah. No, they rock. They're kind of... They're supposed to be more humane because they're not supposed to kill the creature. But let's face it. The mouse is dead. You're not going to get its feet unstuck, and then you're just going to slam it into the garbage bin, and it's going to be there getting buried in garbage till it dies. So
actually, if I could add to that.
Yeah.
I have a bakery, and it was fine. Just somehow at some point, I think with the cheese factory nearby, something happened.
It is a cheese factory.
Yeah, and the mice ended up finding us and finding an unattended garbage can. Then we went from being the bakery to the mouse house.
Oh God!
You recall hearing a story how my dad was taking the garbage bag to the curb and there was mice just pouring out of the bag.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was bad.
That's like the plague level of bad.
Winchester, your finest for town.
No.
That's nasty, man.
No. Like, I feel bad with using, like, traps or whatever, but there's, like, a disease that, like, mice can carry in their shit, and if it piles up, it's, like, a huge health hazard for humans.
The plague.
And it causes so much different shit, and I'm just like, you know what? Nope. Just nope.
The Black
I don't want to deal with this.
Well, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right?
Yeah, but if it does kill you, well, you're dead.
There are some things out there that if they don't kill you, they actually make you weaker. Like,
cancer?
What the hell? Yeah. Like
I was about to say that.
That's pretty much the first, like, straight
aneurysms.
one. Hey, if you survive cancer, great. But let's face it, that shit's not making you stronger. You went through hell. Yeah, a stroke will cripple you.
Yeah. You'll never come back from one of those.
Apparently, you don't...
No, some people can't.
It.
Depending on the severity, but...
What's that?
There are...
I've heard somewhere that apparently with cancer, it's really not a case of that you survive cancer. It's you continue surviving it. Even after you've dealt with it. It's just it's still something that can come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah, because like you can go into remission, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because remember, there's no cure for cancer yet, so it like goes away, quote unquote, but it doesn't actually ever go away all the way. So it's like,
well, what you kill the affected cells, and then they'll just grow more or whatever.
Yeah, but the other thing too is, technically speaking, we all have cells in our body that are cancerous. It's just our immune system kind of kills them off before they get overly cancerous and start infesting the rest of the body and start creating tumors. Because
this is getting depressing.
No, okay. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I sleep all night and I work all day.
So what you're saying is that you become a Zerg.
Oh.
What?
With all those
tumors,
you become a Zerg.
All the tumors.
Well, no, it's not like every single last cancer cell in our bodies grow into tumors. Our immune system kills them off, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The ones that turn into tumors are the ones that the immune system can't get at or forget about, and just all around don't do anything over.
Well, a tumor is just a collection of like basically just mutated cells.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like
tumors
aren't created by like tumors are. Well, yeah, you can have a benign tumor, which is just a deposit of either fat or like hardened fat or like dead muscle, right? That's not necessarily cancerous. Cancer is like it's like someone who moves into a neighborhood and fucks up the neighborhood, and then everyone moves out. But now that they're fucked up because the first guy, they go on and spread and fuck up other neighborhoods, and it's just this big spreading chain of people fucking up neighborhoods. That's an analogy for cancer, kids.
Oh, well, fuck up your neighborhood.
Cancer will fuck up your neighborhood.
It's like a gang recruiting more gang members. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Until you crack down on it with chemo. Also known as the cancer cops.
Yep.
Anyways, we're not the health podcast here.
Yes.
Who are we, Dr. Oz?
I actually watched Dr. Oz for the first time the other day, getting my nails done.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He is a quack.
Well, he actually has a medical degree, doesn't he? Unlike Dr. Phil, who's just like a plumber.
He is a TV doctor. He might have his doctorate, which is all fine, but all he spouts is whatever big company will pay him money to say about stuff. He's one of those, like, he's basically just like a commercial doctor, where like he's like, I am a doctor. I can say this will medically heal you, when in reality science has proven that the treatment doesn't work.
Yeah.
But he can say, like, it's medicine. It's not a direct science, which sucks because, like, medicine is, like, it's a highly specific science.
If you're sick, do not trust Dr. Oz. Do not go to WebMD. Go to a real doctor.
No,
they can brush you
WebMD,
off and tell you
WebMD
you
just tells you you have cancer anyways.
Yeah.
So don't worry, it's cancer.
Go to a real doctor.
I have a slight cough and I feel cold. Cancer.
Diabetes.
I have a soured experience about going to, like, even like walk-in clinics. They had, as they call them, a doc in a box.
Yeah.
The worst feeling about going to an apple tree, or even thinking, oh, I should go see one, is, especially with the apple trees out here, you go in there, like, all right, have a seat. An hour later, they're like, oh, despite the fact that the place is bone dry, there's no one there. Like, okay.
Yeah, I never got that.
Yeah, the nurse will bring you in now. Okay, so the nurse puts me in, asks a few questions, disappears. Half an hour later, you're like, did they forget about me? Poke the head out. Now, I've done this twice. Both times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, poke my head out the door and go like, what's going on? Another 10 minutes, finally a doctor comes in and goes, oh, you have a cold. Get some rest. Gargle salt. Really? You made me wait 2 hours for you to tell me that?
A nurse could have told you that.
Every time I've gone to the walk-in clinic here in Orleans, it's always been jam-packed with people. Apparently, Orleans is
that one's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, that one is actually really good.
My theory is I never go to the
I
doctor unless I'm like bleeding profusely from more than one hole.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same out here.
Yeah,
I think
I like
the last time I had to go to the doctors, I had literally like I was basically experiencing dysentery. And go look that one up, kids. I'm not going to describe it.
Oh boy.
How
and I
did
went
you
to the
get
doctors, and the doctors are just like, after sitting in the hospital, I didn't go to a fucking clinic. I went to the hospital, and after waiting for about an hour inside the emergency room, they then brought me to like a different area, and then a doctor came in and was just like, so we're going to run some blood tests. I was like, all right, it's this extreme that they have to fucking run blood tests? And then an hour after that, my test came back. They're like, yeah, you're completely clear. You probably just had severe food poisoning.
Probably is the key word.
But that's the thing is like, even then, they probably, like, I had no other symptoms than that. So, like, I was freaking... It was coming out of one end way too fast, is all I'm saying. And, you know, and it was just like, I didn't know what was wrong, because after a day or two, I was just like, you know what, maybe I'm having, like, some stomach flu or something. Like, this will pass after a couple days. Then, like, day 7 hit, and I'm like, no, this is going on for way too long. And it was going on for 2 weeks before I finally just went to the hospital.
Wow, and they just told you to go home?
It was E. coli. No, they said like they're like there's nothing to treat it. Your body will flush it out by itself. They did, and 3 days later after the hospital, I was fine.
You just had to wait it out.
Yeah.
I had to wait out 2 weeks.
That's fucking rough.
Yeah, I think it was like 16 days. It was just over 2 weeks, and it was
half
just
a month.
I was
like half a month of just
half a month.
I feel like shit.
Yeah, well, to the point of like I couldn't eat anything because it was just like I was literally living on bread and like juice to try and get vitamins, and bread was the only thing that could keep my stomach full. Yeah, so it was like
Just
bread
like
and smoothies.
Temporary calories.
The last time I went to a hospital was, I want to say last year, or maybe it was the year before. I had a really, really, really bad case of strep throat. Like I almost always do every year. I actually haven't gotten it this year, thank God. But I was so fed up with it just constantly getting strep throat. I just went to the hospital, and with my voice basically not being audible at all, or barely being audible, and tried demanding them to remove my tonsils because I was so sick and tired of being in such pain and sore and just not being able to talk or eat or swallow without suffering. And I'd been sick for 3 weeks at that point. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't take tonsils out anymore. I'm like, what?
You had tonsillitis?
Yeah, no, I had straight up tonsillitis. Like, I've seemed to have gotten away from not getting it this year. But every year I get sick at least 2 or 3 times with strep throat to the point where it becomes tonsillitis. So I went to the hospital. But they told me, nope, not. And they just gave me a couple pills of morphine to take before leaving, and I bust home high as a kite off of morphine. Jeez. I took the 12 back to Blair, took the 95 back to Place d'Orleans, and then walked from Place d'Orleans up to my place, high as a kite off morphine.
That's perfect.
I ended up spending $50 at the Quickie Mart because I'm just like, ooh, food.
The Quickie Mart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I'm
not
just thinking
Quickie
of a song.
Welcome
just
to
Quickie or the Max, I guess.
It was the Max Milk.
Okay. I've never had strep throat. Thank fucking God.
It sucks ass. And not in the good way.
the weirdest feeling when the doctor looks at you and says, "Oh yeah, you've got pharyngitis." You mean laryngitis, right? No, pharyngitis.
Pharyngitis?
Yeah, pharyngitis is like I think it was the redness of the throat or something of the sort. It's not laryngitis. There is a difference actually.
Well, laryngitis is the larynx, which is the
pharynx.
Yeah,
and
let me take a look here.
Isn't
the larynx
like
the larynx is right before your bronchioles, I think. So it's the lower part of the back of your throat. It's where your vocal cords are, is in your larynx.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I think the pharynx is the start of like just behind your tonsils to like down to the bottom of the throat, like before the bronchioles.
Pharynx. That sounds like some sort of weapon system from like, Armored Core. The pharynx.
The pharyngitis is inflammation of the pharynx, which is in the back of the throat.
Part of the body.
Most often referred to as sore throat. Pharyngitis also causes scratchiness in the throat and difficulty swallowing. Yeah.
Well then, we know more.
Yeah, and when you
Welcome to the
lose your
Healthcast.
when you lose your voice, that's laryngitis.
Yeah.
Yay!
I felt like I was losing my voice at the time. That's why I got super confused.
They're so close together that one starts to affect the other after a while. Because like there's days where you lose your voice, but your throat is fine. But then after so many days of straining trying to talk, because you're losing your voice, then your throat gets irritated, and it sucks.
I hate the part where it's like you're no longer sick, but your throat is still sore because it's all scarred and raw
it's just
from
irritated.
that sickness. Yeah, and you're still recovering. That's even worse in some cases. Like, I'm not sick anymore. Why can't I?
It just lingers.
Why can't I talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've never been to the hospital except for like extreme emergencies. Yay!
Frig, I remember when
Extreme emergencies. How many have you?
Yeah.
Interesting
I've had a
stories?
couple. I've almost lost one of my fingers due to the
Oh,
milkshake
shit.
machine. I almost lost had bits of my right leg amputated because of a spider bite. And
Oh yeah,
stuff like
the wolf mamba Madruger.
No, not even close. It was a regular recluse spider from Mexico bit me when I used to work at a grocery store. It's a cousin of the brown recluse.
Okay.
Yeah, tiny little thing, smaller than a dime. But I was lucky.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I was stupid lucky. And it looked like a regular house spider. That's the most scary bit of it. It didn't look any different from the spiders we normally have.
I am now even more terrified of the spiders.
Because, like, the spiders up in Canada, like, they're not very venomous because the cold weather that we have up here, like, very venomous spiders can't survive in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, we do have regular recluse spiders that live in Ontario, for sure, but the one that bit me was basically a type of regular recluse that came in basically from one of the shipments in the produce section, which happens quite often.
Really?
Watch out
like that.
going
Makes
through
me
produce.
think it's like so
Oh, I'm so glad I don't work at grocery stores. I never will. Ever,
I worked
ever,
at
ever,
grocery
ever,
store
ever,
for 2
ever.
years. I can attest to that.
I worked in the produce department in one store, and I remember going through the grapes, and I opened a box of grapes, and it was just covered in webs. And I was like, nope. I walked away. We had to toss that entire box.
No.
And one of the managers that came from Toronto told me a couple stories about when he was working in produce departments when he was younger. There was a cobra that was in one of the banana boxes that he opened, and it popped right up, and he had to like hit it back down into the box, and they had to call animal control. And there was another time he found a tarantula. He found a tarantula in one of the banana boxes.
No.
Be careful with grapes because black widows tend to be in them.
Oh God, you're making your
I'm arachnophobic and I worked in a produce section, so yeah. It's getting bit by a spider was like my worst nightmare come to life. So I think I'm a better person for it. I lived through my worst nightmare.
Holy jeez. He found a cobra.
Yeah. He was
In
working with his
bananas.
brother at the time. Yeah, it was in a banana box.
What?
That's fun.
Yeah, it was really funny listening to some of the stories, and he's just like, yeah, I opened it up, it popped out, I put the box back down, like, basically put the lid back on the box, and he walked away, and then he called for his manager, and they had to evacuate the store until animal control came.
Holy
Stories, man.
shit!
You hear so many different stories from, like, the higher-ups in produce departments.
Oh yeah. I was middle. I was like I wasn't upper management, but I was like supervisor of the produce section when I used to work at a grocery store, and it was like the shit that we'd have to deal with. They're like, we can't deal with this box of watermelons. Why? Well, there's a bunch of spiders in it. It's just like, okay, cool.
You can't put it out on the floor.
Fucking throw that box of watermelon out. Like, and we're talking like the big box of watermelon, where it's not like a bunch of spiders. It was like, you know those like clips on YouTube where like someone squashes a spider and like 1,000 smaller spiders come out?
Yep.
We were terrified that was going to happen from a watermelon.
Yeah.
So we were just we had to take like the Jimmy, the fucking whatever those are called, the like hand forklifts. Everyone calls them Jimmies here. You take the Jimmy, and we had to literally push it outside into the back of the parking lot till like, and we left it there till like everything just rotted and decomposed. And at the bottom, it was just a full-on spider web. We're just like, all right, cool.
Gross.
Well, all the spiders are in their natural habitat,
or they'll die
My
off.
skin
Or they'll
all
die off.
crawly and
yeah, we didn't see them, but we didn't fucking deal with it because we're like, no, fuck that shit.
Worst case scenario, it'll happen just like down in Florida when they like introduce pythons, and they'll just fucking thrive.
I also worked in the same grocery store. I worked in the butchery, like not the deli where it's like, oh, I'm gonna, cut some bologna and shit, like the actual like
the real butcher.
The butcher place. And I have stories of that, of like guys like accidentally fucking putting a fillet knife like through their hand because they were holding they were holding a chicken wrong, and they were trying to cut the thighs off, like the quarter chicken thighs and shit like that, and they would cut the chicken's thigh, and it would go through the carcass like right in through their hand, and because they're idiots and weren't wearing fillet gloves. Even a fillet glove. Even the fillet glove, like those things always felt so weird because the fillet gloves are meant to go over like a latex glove. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to wear a latex glove for hygienic reasons, and then the fillet glove over top. And the fillet glove is like a small, tiny chainmail glove.
Yep.
But some of the fillet knives, especially the fish fillet knives, are so sharp at a tip that they will jab like halfway through your hand because they go right through the chain link.
They'll just go right through the chain links, yeah.
Yeah, I have scars on my hands. I have scars on my hands from a meat grinder. I almost lost my hand to a meat grinder. Like the sausage, like ground beef.
Minimum wage employees.
Oh, we do. We did.
What do you have to deal with?
Butchers are paid different wages.
We got paid on average about $3 more than the rest of the store.
Yeah, and you got to sign a waiver, and
we also had to take
a premium.
Yeah, no, we had to take classes to know like how to handle different meats. We had to take classes of like what diseases certain meats can carry, how to notice if there is like a spoiled like quarter round coming your way, and you're like, I have to cut this up into a bunch of flank steaks. But if you don't notice that there's like a blue tint to some of the meat, which means that cow leg has gone bad or starting to, you can't sell that. You can't cut it.
Yeah.
Okay. So can't even touch the equipment because then you can contaminate everything.
Yeah, and like people like usual butchers, like especially like more like big chain grocery store butchers, will they'll do like, all right, everybody in the butcher, like all the guys on staff who are there that day, or gals, whatever, all the people that were on staff that day goes like, okay, cool. So from like 8 to 12, everyone's just working on all the chicken stock. so that all the blood, all the like juices are only chicken juices, and then we like blast everything with hot water and soap, clean it all, and then do all the steak, and then all the pork, and then all the fish, and then it's just like it just goes from there.
There's a
So-
very
or, like-
tight system of it.
Yeah, I didn't work for like Loblaws. I worked for a smaller grocery store chain, which I'm not going to name because
Yeah, I'm
it's
not going
that
to
I
name
have
where I
anything with
worked
them.
either.
So it's just like, but it was just like they had it down to a science, like, or not a science, but they had it down to like a rigid schedule of like how fast we had to get shit done.
Yeah,
Just
no,
listening
like
to
some of the
talk
guys.
about this.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. It just makes me feel a little thankful that I didn't have to deal with that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, I was terrified
worst.
to even like touch any of the butcher stuff.
At worst, for me, just the job I had in Stittsville, like I've never worked retail, I've never worked in a grocery store, so I never know any of this stuff, of course. But while I was working at Stittsville, I mean, the worst I had was, I think it was Timmy, the cubicle spider, and the dead mice he kept finding in the server racks. That's about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What?
It was okay. So Timmy the cubicle spider was like the affection name I gave him, because he just one day dropped down from the ceiling right in front of me. I was like, "What the hell?" The next thing I know, he's like running laps around my monitor. It was just like I didn't have the heart to squish him. It was really cute. I was
like, I'm here to
curious about
entertain
the
you.
dead rat.
Yeah.
I'm more curious about the dead rats in the server room.
Not dead rats, mice. So we had field mice. The building I was working in it used to be the storage room for like, actually no, the building started off as a church, and then eventually it became like some kind of like hardware store or something for computers, but like really low end kind of thing.
So does this mean you're a tech priest?
Yeah, I'm a tech priest. I'm a technomancer. So what happened? So basically, the building's starting to run down, that sort of stuff, right? So that's the conditions I was working. Field mice coming in from outside during the winter. So what ends up happening is they find a nice hot computer to sit next to, and die.
Really?
Yeah, I remember one day I was like, there was a box I had there. I shifted it off to the side. And now, when I say server rack, people don't think about those really big fancy ones you would see in like a big actual proper. When I say server rack, I just mean like a couple of boxes that were sitting next to each other. So I moved the tower just slightly aside, noticed there was the corpse of a decaying rat or mouse just right there.
Decaying.
Yes, it'd been there long. It got squished.
Ugh.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the worst I ever had to deal with.
The worst I've ever had to deal with was working food customer service in the fast food industry with really, really stupid passengers and incompetent coworkers.
Oh yeah, the
Passengers, customers.
fast food. Yeah, fast food is one of
whole
those jobs
other
that
evil.
Yeah, it's a whole like I find like every job category has its ups and has its downs, but like
Food service is just downs.
Yeah, it is. It's just
There's
it's sad.
nothing good about it.
As someone who worked 2 years in the fast food industry, it's just it's just
For
Your coworkers are what makes those jobs. They make or break.
yeah. Depending on because
the customers
worked
can
night
do a really
shifts.
good job at breaking it too.
because I was like one of the only high schoolers who could work a 12 to 6 shift. They scheduled me 12 a.m. to 6 or so, like 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. And it was me and one other person. So you want to talk about making coworkers making the job? The store that I worked for had 40 employees. I only knew 6 of them.
One.
Well, I only knew 6 of them.
One.
Well, no, because like some of the people who would come in for the early morning shifts, I knew them.
Yeah.
But like there are people who worked like the day shift where I would never see them at all because they never worked early morning or night shifts.
The employees at my coworkers at my last food service job, they were good people, but the sandwich artist, it wasn't Subway, it was another place, but so the sandwich makers had no idea what they were doing. They were there for 3 months, still couldn't make a simple cheeseburger without fucking it up. And the last shift that I properly worked at that location before I had my little breakdown, we got hit in the face with an iron-fisted rush, and we at our store we constantly get hit in the face with iron fist rushes, and we were never ever prepared for it because the management, I'm not sure if it was the management's fault or the owner's fault or whose fault it was, but we would constantly be running on a skeleton crew at all times. So whenever we got hit with an iron fist rush, we were never prepared.
Yeah,
and we got hit with
scheduling.
Yeah, and we got
the budget for it.
We got double fisted that night. We got the drive-through was around the block. The customers were out the door, and I was training a new guy on the cashier, which he had no idea what he was doing, and he'd already been there for 3 weeks. So I was running both front and caches, relying on 2 sandwich makers who still after 3 months didn't know what the hell they were doing. And so I was running the caches, waiting for burgers that kept getting wrong, and filling all the orders. Had 7 orders on each cash register going simultaneously, all trying to be filled, while all simultaneously being recalled by the customer saying, "Oh, my burger is wrong." And it was
I think that's
hell.
more on whoever was making sandwiches was kind of fucking up.
Oh yeah. Plus on the fact that no matter how simply I explained how to operate the cash register, the guy I was training just did not get it.
Yeah, some people
all.
just don't get shit.
And
Whatever.
And our managers did not want to fire anyone because I guess they didn't have enough applications, or for whatever or what other reason they had. They actually fired the 2 sandwich makers before, and then rehired them after the 2 sandwich makers begged for their jobs back.
Like I'm not talking
It's just like,
necessarily just like during work hours, like to do the actual job. I'm saying like coworkers make the job when you're doing stuff at work that isn't work related, like dicking around or just having conversations and stuff like that. That's what makes a job enjoyable, rather than like the work itself. I guess could necessarily be
the work
enjoyable,
is
but
the
in fast food, definitely not.
Part of it. The work is the big part. You can have, as I said, like my coworkers I loved my coworkers. They were the nicest people. But as
Doesn't
soon
mean
as
they're nice to work with.
We got along pretty well, and we had fun when there was downtime. But when it came to the rushes, because we were always so understaffed, that regardless of how well we worked together, we were never prepared for the rushes, and it just destroyed how enjoyable the work experience was. It was not fun.
No, I can understand.
People in fast food are highly underpaid. They need more money.
But at the same time, it doesn't take much to get into fast food.
Yeah.
Literally can hire high school students to do fast food. Doesn't mean they're good at it or whatever.
But with the kind of hell that you can go through in one of those jobs, they deserve a bit of a raise. Plus, the majority of fast food workers aren't actually high schoolers. They're
more
actually in their 20, anywhere between in their mid-20s to mid-40s.
I think the reason why most people hate fast food is because they have to deal with angry customers, but that's more onto our social standards of how we treat fast food workers, because there's the stigma that all fast food workers are dropouts and this and that, whereas no, these are just people trying to get by, working for their family, working insane hours. So as a people, we should treat fast food workers a little bit better, or a lot better.
We should treat everybody with respect.
We should treat everyone with respect, but unfortunately the stigma is there that people don't think they have to, which I think is wrong.
The funny thing is that
I don't know. I tend to not piss off the people who make my food.
Alex, what were you saying?
I've got like a full diploma and everything else, but it's just as likely that I end up working in fast food or retail or anything else, if I can't even find work in my own field.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Because it's also dependent on your city. Like right now, Ottawa is doesn't have the best job selection right now. So we have a lot of people in like menial task jobs who have degrees or who have completed high school or completed college who just can't get a job in their field, so they're just filling a job that they can find.
Or there's people like myself who got my diploma. I have 2 diplomas and worked in my field for a few years and realized that it was not what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now I'm trying to find a different way. So like if I have to pay the bills working a menial job, I don't care.
Yeah. Mm. And the thing was, when you're working in food service, you could almost always tell which of the customers have worked food service before, because they're always very kind, very nice, and very patient with the staff. But those people who are like rich and spoiled, who've never had to do menial task work as a job before, you could tell them straight away because they just treat you like a robot and say, "Oh, why can't you do this properly?" And it's like, because I'm in a distressful job that dehumanizes me to a mop. So, yeah, fuck off.
Or, people just recognize that people are people. You don't necessarily have to work in that field to be,
yeah, exactly.
Empathy. Everyone should have empathy.
Empathy goes a long way, kids.
It does. I think we're gonna end it there. We're gonna end on, everyone's human. It's okay. Everyone's human. Everyone deserves to feel loved and to love and treat each other nicely. Caress them. Love them.
And we love all you listeners because you're awesome.
Please, for the love of God, treat us kindly.
And you guys are the people that will hopefully keep us away from fast food.
Yay!
From having to work that again.
I'm never working food again if I can help it. So that's all the time we have for today. So be sure to follow us on social media at TOONDISE on Facebook and with the hashtag ToonLounge on Twitter. And if you like our crazy antics and if you are a fan of TOONDISE, make sure to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/ToonDice. And on behalf of Axel, Sean, Sarah, and myself, Christina Carswell, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time, right here on the lounge.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work
all day.